Porn Stars Are People podcast. I'm Dan Frigolette. I'm here with Vonka.
Hello.
Thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. What's going on? We're in the middle of like a crazy thunderstorm. Are you a pro-rain, anti-rain person? What's your...
I feel like I'm intermediate. I feel like we need rain. Water is life. But like the downpouring flash flood warning bullshit is a little much.
Yeah. It's but I meet so many people that are like, oh, I just like being at home when it's raining. I just sit in the rain and listen to the rain.
I mean, if you're free and you have the time to take a nap, then that's great.
Right.
Like I play rain sounds to fall asleep a lot on my Alexa.
Yeah.
You know, I have the wiretap, so I'll have it play me soothing rain sounds to fall asleep, and that's great. But like, it's not great in the middle of the day when you're I don't know, if you work in an office or something,
Right.
That sucks.
Yeah, New York is tough because the commute in the rain is such a pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. It's not even because you're going. It's not even that you're going massive distances, but you're interacting with so many other cars. Like even just on the way over here, it doubled because it was rain. I was like, why are people they're stopping
Everyone
for rain?
They forget how to drive.
Yeah.
It's like the rain magically falls,
Right,
and then
and
it
like,
hits them, and then they lose all recollection.
Where are the wipers?
Of how to drive? Yeah.
What's going on? Yeah, it was. And then I'm like adjusting with the GPS, and then it's just brake. And then the other thing is like when you commute and like public transport, you're just always freaking out because you're gonna get out and just be in the. I'm like anti-umbrella.
Oh.
So then I have to like figure out
controversial.
how to be like
Controversial for someone who's talking to a bunch of sex workers.
anti-umbrella.
You know, the umbrella symbol is like the sex worker symbol.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's specifically a red umbrella, but like a lot of places
Oh.
where people use the umbrella emoji, even though it's not
Why?
red.
Where
it's
did that come
purple.
from?
No clue.
Oh.
But I don't know. I imagine it as sort of like shielding and protecting. Like,
Sure.
And like there's a lot of red umbrella symbols in terms of like someone you love as a sex worker on like International Whores Day, or
Oh, I didn't
like
know
there's
that.
a lot of like red umbrella symbol.
I gotta get
symbology.
my shit together. And my
Yeah,
knowledge.
you gotta be pro umbrella.
All right, well then I'm gonna start carrying around a red umbrella. I just think I don't know what it is. It's like it's already annoying to have an umbrella, but somewhere in my head I got stuck from like high school where it's like I got stuck in like weird like 90s masculinity where like if you have an umbrella, it's like it's not masculine. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna get wet.
No, I feel like you need one of those long umbrellas that are like a cane.
You're right,
and then,
a parasol.
And then you need to dress dapper enough
Yeah.
to match it, and
Right,
then it's
and just-
fine.
No,
Yeah.
when it rains, I just wear the trashiest clothes I can think of because I'm like I'm just gonna get wet and I'm gonna do the thing.
Have you seen the weird the BDSM raincoat?
No, what's the
So-
BDSM raincoat?
That's what I call it. It's not actually the BDSM raincoat. It's a transparent raincoat lined with like black lining,
Okay.
and it's like $13 on Amazon or something.
Yeah.
And every kinkster I know has them so that they can like be naked outdoors,
Yeah.
or like in their lingerie.
So
like
they're
if
just
they're
in it.
if you're dressed up sexy at an
Right.
event that's like outdoors. Because I go kinky camping in the summer.
Right.
So they'll
Kinky
throw,
camping.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's a
hold on.
whole
Time
thing.
out. What is kinky camping?
It's Dark Odyssey is an organization that has 2 camping events per summer.
Yeah.
There's one in the beginning of the summer called Fusion, one at the end of the summer called Summer Camp, and they're like a week long. And so you're in the middle of the woods, and you can do mostly whatever.
Yeah.
And so you can like fuck under the stars or like do weird kinky stuff, and
So they have to
it
make
feels
sure
like
they-
you live in a kinky town. It's great.
Yeah, they make sure they have to get the whole campsite.
Yeah.
Because it's like they have the
You
problem
can't
that
have
happened.
you can't have neighbors like making noise
Right.
complaints or like seeing all the nudists.
Right, this is what happened
Yeah.
at AVN like 2 years ago. First AVN I went to, I think it was like there was like families walking around the hotel with their children, and it was just this weird. Thing. Maybe it wasn't AVN. It was one of the conferences because I remember they were trying to get them moved.
Anytime you have like a weird group and they don't get a whole hotel
Yeah,
takeover,
yeah.
then you've got issues where like, oh, there's a traditional Indian wedding here, like at the same
Right.
time as the whoever. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, sorry. So kinky camping.
Everybody's got one of those like transparent raincoats,
Yeah.
so that they can continue to be naked or wear whatever like lingerie they were showing off
So just a
prior,
quick-
and then they just like throw it on,
Quick
hood,
cover
and
up.
it's transparent. And I, as much as I hate the show bonding, fuck that place. But
So wait, so the front
they
is
had
see-through,
it in there. Hmm.
but the
whole
inside.
thing. No, the whole
Oh, they said the inside
raincoat.
was black.
No, the lining, like the lines, like the stitches
Oh, I
that
see.
stitches it together.
So,
Sorry, that line.
So they're still naked.
Yeah, so you can see right
yeah.
through
So
it.
how does that solve anything?
it shields you from the rain. It's waterproof.
Oh, from the rain, I see.
Yeah,
But if you're naked, that's the only thing I worry about in the rain is just getting all my clothes. So if you're naked, you're just no.
I mean, or what if you're wearing lingerie or something
Sure,
like
fair enough.
like I'm wearing like a leather harness and nothing else.
Right. Well,
like
because that'll like once that
you
dries,
gotta
that's
protect your leather.
Yeah, and then because once that dries, that becomes part of your body now. It hardens up, and then now it's part of your skin.
I mean, I feel like you can. I mean, you can dry out leather eventually. But
Yeah,
it's a pain in the ass.
I was being semi-facetious and semi-exaggerative, but you're like, no, that's not true. No.
Sorry, we're doing a yes and improv interview here.
Thank you for knowing what yes and is. That's great. All right, so I haven't asked you any questions yet. What makes you different in this field? This is the thing I've been like trying to like figure out. How do you differentiate yourself and what would you mostly say that you're a fetish producer? Fetish creator.
What's that phrase? It's like master of none. What is that thing where you like
Just do whatever.
I've got a hand in every cookie jar a little bit, but like I'm not one thing at all. So I do a fetish production stuff, mostly for Callie Logan.
Yeah.
Where I started off modeling for some of that, and over time I started to learn more back end things. So I am in this weird middle of the road position where I have blue hair and I've got some piercings and like some tattoos.
Right.
But I don't have like a split tongue and like a full sleeve.
Right.
So I'm not like totally
So is that
alternative.
the line?
I'm not. No, it's in the middle. I'm not totally alternative that I fit in this very niche fetish in and of itself.
So what
but
is
I'm
it?
also
Okay,
not girl next door.
So once you split your tongue, what's that now?
I think
called?
then the people who are into the alternative look are like super into you, but
That's all
but
it is. So it literally that's the extremes.
I'm right in the middle though. Like I'm not girl next door.
Yeah.
Because like if I had natural colored hair in some way, whether it's actually natural or not, I'd look more like, oh, this girl could be the librarian or whatever. But since I don't look like that, and plus everybody has their own tastes, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like some people are into redheads or they're into whatever. I'm not going to fit in every category.
Right.
I started finding more working behind the camera because then I can be filming and I can be directing, even if that person that we're filming for that moment or that day wouldn't want me to be the model in that particular clip, and like that's fine. So I found a lot more work in that regard. So I've started doing more of the production side over time. But I'm also a burlesque performer, and I do like live fetish performances. I run BDSM events because I'm a lifestyle kinkster.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I do.
So I feel like that's a way different lane, I think, than people that spend their time, right? Because I guess the extremes are sort of like girl who just cams, girl or guy who just cams, and then doesn't have like any actual like human interaction. There's the filming with the whole crew, and then there's your live events, which is like a very, very different lane.
Yeah.
Because you get like an actual immediate response from people. The burlesque thing has to be fantastic. I feel like it's like one of the most supported, like from an audience standpoint, people are into it and they're like very supportive.
I get a lot of the contrast of people who, because I know burlesque performers that have gotten fired from their day job for being a burlesque performer. Yet most of the time, most people are like, oh, being a burlesque performer, like that's so artistic and that's so creative.
Yeah.
And they hold it up on a pedestal and like, oh, but you're not a stripper. Oh, you're not a sex worker. I'm like, but I'm taking my clothes off on stage in front of people.
Oh, so you're on the other end.
I'm literally stripping while I'm doing burlesque. And I also have done more extreme versions of fetish work, including like on camera, but I have done some in-person work. I've done some pro-doming. That's not my primary gig, but I've done it. Yeah. So people are like, oh, no, you're not really a sex worker. You're not a stripper. What you do is art. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm just a weird art stripper. I'm not a stripper.
Okay. I do like that perspective.
I'm a stripper clown.
Stripper clown. I like that. I do like that. So so as a comedian, the big thing is always that you're going to get heckled. And that's all anybody ever really asks about. And like from the standpoint of like, generalizing, it's not happening, but then it happens and it's bad, and this has been a weird heckly week for me. Have you ever been heckled as a burlesque performer?
Yeah, totally. it's hard to say because it's not like I'm speaking and then someone just like I've heard people shout a thing where they're shouting take it off or whatever, and like some of that can be enthusiastic, like you want people to cheer and clap and
you want them to want, like the whole
holler.
game is wanting them, like because there's a little bit more tease in the burlesque.
But there are certain points where they start to shout more vulgarities that it's like it's not compatible with the type of performance I'm doing at that time, or we get drunk people who are trying to slap your ass or put $1 in your underwear that you're about to strip off dramatically, choreographed to music.
Right.
And that doesn't really work. That's not very conducive either. So I don't know if you could call it heckling or disruption.
I think it's it's exactly what heckling is. Yeah, it really that's the thing, is like it's a nonsense call out that like very specifically doesn't take the performance into consideration, because it's like you said, like you're about to do the thing anyway, and now you're rushing the thing that you're gonna get. It's like it's kind of like when people, and they're like, tell a joke. It's like that's what we're doing. That's what this whole thing is.
That's what we're here
Shut
for,
up
man.
for a second. And like give the guy the opportunity.
Everybody wants to be the person on stage.
Right.
They want to be the person in front of the microphone getting the attention.
Right.
So they're going to take it from you.
This happened last night. The show was going, and my door guy let in like 7 people who I would have immediately turned away. The show was a little bit light, so I think he wanted to get people in. But as soon as they came in, I was like, these people want it to be about them. And the show was ending. They heckled the shit out of the guy who let him in, who was the door guy, who's also a comedian. To the point where he like bailed early on his set. And then I'm closing the show. I figure I'm gonna do like a couple more minutes because I had like a base of audience that was into me. Excuse me. And then the guy who was in the group was like, he like stood up. He's like, let me take over from here. Like I was gonna give him the mic.
Okay.
And then his friends were like, no, trust us.
We
want him to have the mic.
We can't all be Mrs. Maisel wandering up onto the stage drunk and pissed off that our husband just left us and then rant out something beautiful.
Yeah, I'm glad that you used that exact thing, because that the amount that thing hurts comedy is extreme, because people are watching it and they're like, oh yeah, no,
you just wander up there and you're gonna be great.
Just go,
and then somebody's gonna bail you out of jail and
just
tell you that you're gonna be a
diarrhea.
fucking star.
Right. It's not at all what it is.
Yeah.
It's like it. Nobody's like, it's never been clearer than you. Like, it's a choreographed, perfect to music. That's what comedy is, and it's like, no, I've never explained it that way, but that's perfect.
I have also dabbled in stand-up comedy.
No shit.
I've only done it once.
Okay, how'd it go?
It went really well, but it was for my friend's 40th birthday party,
Right.
which was a surprise roast.
Right.
So we roasted him.
It's great.
And
So those jokes
but
are
I
not
still,
going to work
but
anywhere
like
else.
those jokes won't work anywhere else. But I knew my audience really well,
Right.
because like it's all my friends.
Yeah.
So those jokes are useless now.
Right.
And it was the most forgiving audience in the world.
Right.
So it went great.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean it translates to anything else.
Right.
But it's made me curious to
I'm
try
glad
more.
you're very keen. I'm glad that you understand that part of it, because it is, when the first time you do comedy, no matter what, it's great. You've never gotten that kind of like response from a group of people before. It's all about you, and you say a thing and then they laugh. Mm-hmm. And even if it's the tiniest laugh because you've never heard it before, it's the biggest. It's like you played Madison Square Garden.
I think burlesque is the same, because I do live performance. So
Yeah.
even though I'm not talking or telling jokes, I am still maintaining some stage presence and a connection with the audience. And so the first time you do burlesque, it's pretty much the same. That even if you are terrible, people hear, oh, it's their first time ever, and they want to cheer for you. They want to root for you and support you. So they're going to hoot and holler, and you're going to be really nervous before you start, but then you're going to walk away and go, wow, I did okay. They cheered for me. Oh, wow, I showed them my butt. Oh, my God. And then, a few, like, months or years down the line, depending on how rapidly you progress with doing it all the time, you have moments where you're like, that was great, and then you have times where you're like, oh, I fucked that part up or whatever.
Yeah, well, so that's the thing, right? That's the thing with being a professional, and this is the way that we rate comedians a lot of times, is like, if we're other comedians in the room watching you, and we know how it's going, and then you get off and you have this like disillusionment of what happened. They're like, oh, I think it went really well. And you're like, it did not go really well. So
anyone who's never seen it before is going to be different than somebody who's seen it before, or someone who's in the business, or someone who knows how you perform.
Well, not even that. It's like we can gauge the audience response of like what it should be.
Yeah.
So as a professional performer, you know where the laughs are coming from at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say a thing and you don't get a laugh there, then you already know that you need to make some adjustments.
That thing didn't work.
Yeah. So if that thing didn't work and it always works, then now you're that's the whole.
Well, what did I
game.
do different?
Yeah, and then now you got to figure out how to get these people on board, and it's.
Yeah. I forgot to mention I teach classes, so I teach like sex classes. So I teach fisting, I teach cunnilingus, I teach like queer flirting stuff.
What is queer flirting?
I teach mostly it's like self-identified women or feminine of center people how to initiate and flirt with each other, since society doesn't really teach women and femmes how to do that. We're basically taught to like sit by the sidelines and look pretty, and men will approach you, and then you just sort of go like, okay, you'll do to the best one.
Interesting.
But it doesn't really teach you like how do you approach someone and ask them out in a respectful, appropriate way.
And how to go get what you want.
Like men are taught to initiate for sure. They're mostly taught how to do it in a really toxic, harmful way.
Okay,
but at least they're taught to approach someone at all. Whereas you get this like lesbian sheep syndrome where you've got two women or femmes that are like interested in each other, and they're on opposite sides of the room going like, oh wow, she's so pretty, oh, but I don't know what to do. Oh, I don't even know if she's queer or if she would like me, but I could never. And then they're both like shyly looking away and then shyly looking away, and like nothing fucking happens.
Yeah,
so I teach them how to do the thing.
So by the way, that's how men feel also. Right? Like, we're supposed to power through, but that's how we feel. And a lot of times, I remember being in high school and college when it was the first time I'm trying to figure out how to interact with women. And it's like, I started figuring out that, like, if a woman would hover nearby, I have a set period of time where I'm allowed to talk to her. Because I remember I was, like, promoting clubs, and I would not talk to the girl.
Can I give you the secret?
No, wait, but
okay. You figured it out.
Yeah,
okay.
No, I haven't figured it out. You're gonna tell me, but
right.
but so I would wait, and then I could feel, because I would go and try to approach like 2 hours later, and my window was gone. It was like it was closed, and they decided that it was done. But all of the guys that I value in my life, I think are what did you say? You said feminine of center. Is that what you said? Yeah. I would say, and I don't know if that's the exact way I would describe these dudes, but the best dudes that I know in my personal life and growing up always had problems figuring out how to talk to women because they wouldn't do the thing. And I always view these guys like, these are the most respectful, the great, like these are the men that women want. They're talking about that they want. Where are they? And they're over there not talking to you.
Yeah.
So what's the...
So you could pay me to listen to me talk about this for a solid hour or so, but I'll just like tell you the bare bones of the secret here in a nutshell. So in that tiny window you have, what you want to do...
what's going on?
Yeah, what you want to do is you want to approach them in a way that's respectful, that you can be upfront, give them all the information they need, give them the opportunity to take you up on what you're offering and go away. So instead of like, oh, I'm going to sit next to this girl at the bar and like pay for her drink, and now she's forced to sit here and talk to me whether she wants to or not. Don't trap somebody.
Right.
Just get in there, give them an offer. Like, so I'm going to say it in the way I normally say it, in my queer way, but like I think this translates to the way men should approach women.
I could be a lesbian for a minute.
So if you're a lesbian at the bar, or even a straight girl at the bar, you're just somebody at the bar. It doesn't matter. So you're someone at the bar, and I walk up to the bar up to you. Hey, my name is Vonka. I have no idea if you're interested in women or you're available or you find me attractive, but I would love to get to know you better and buy you a drink. If you're interested, I'll be over there. And then I go the fuck away.
Yeah.
And I said what I need to say. Maybe I shook your hand or got your name.
And this works.
Usually I'll get your name in the process. It's a little bit slower than that. But I just give you that information. Here's what you're interested in. And I said, like, I don't know if you find me attractive or if you're available. I don't know if you're whatever. Right. I use the word attraction. So you know that I'm not looking to become your friend.
Right.
Like I'm so much as I'm looking to get to know you better and see if we're compatible because I'm sexually interested in you. So I already put all that information in this nice little neat package.
Right.
And you have it. And then I left. Right. So if there's a boyfriend or a whoever that's next to her, then like who gets offended, oh sorry man, I didn't realize. That's it.
Yeah.
You walk away. You didn't try anything.
Right,
you didn't like, oh, you're trying to dance with my girl. Like none of that is a factor now. You're just like, I'm basically giving you my verbal business card.
Right.
So instead of harassing women for their numbers, give them your number. They can call you if they want to.
This is great. No,
Yeah.
this is great.
Yeah.
All of this is very, very good stuff. So,
Anyway, we're off track, but
no, we're not off track. We're exactly
off
on
track?
track.
All right.
I feel like the problem is that works. I feel like that works so much better in the environment that you're describing it, because as soon as you add a dude to the equation, all of the stuff gets a little.
I've said this spiel to a lot of people, and most of them say they wish that men approach them that way
For
too.
sure. For sure. But I think what happens is sometimes if a man were to do that, and then now you're talking to somebody who's stuck in, like, I think the problem is we're still stuck in a lot of, like, gender role ideas that don't apply anymore, but we're still trying to reapply them over and over again. So it's like,
Gender
so
roles hurt
women
us all.
want guys to take charge in this other way. Where, like, I've been on dates where I've been respectful and we're hooking up and I stop because they stopped me, and then I get a text 2 days later that's like, hey, why did you stop? And it's like, you stopped me. We have to learn how to communicate. If you want me to muscle through a stop sign, that's not really.
Another thing I say in my class is you can't have no means no and playing hard to get at the same time.
Okay, so yeah, there's the two sides, because women that are being hit on also need to take the responsibility of accepting what's happening, and if they have an interest to
Being able to communicate and
Right.
initiate that. I think that there's a really big difference between so we're making like, I've had girls tell me, like, oh, I'm turned off by the idea of you asking, like, may I kiss you? Like, that's gross. Like,
Right.
that's a turn off. And I'm like, well, then I'm not gonna kiss you. That's not gonna happen.
Right.
Because the only difference between me feeling the tension and making out with this girl and, like, grabbing her and, like, holding her against the wall and making out with her passionately,
Right.
The only difference between, like, that being really romantic or hot, or that being sexual assault, is whether or not she wants it.
Right.
And I can't know that psychically.
Right. Thank you. This is brilliant. I love everything we're talking about. This is exactly where I think we're stuck in the world. Is we're in the middle of a big consent discussion, and whole pieces of the discussion are being removed, being ignored, and it's tricky times. But these are all solid and good points. And it's the problem is, I think in a lot of ways for the straight relationship is the people are very accepting of the old way, and they still think that that's the way it's supposed to be. So I just think it's maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's an easier conversation as soon as you get out of the straight conversation. I think it becomes, everything is like, oh, that makes perfect sense. I love that.
Yes, but when I say it like this, it sounds like it's, oh, of course. But when
right,
when
totally
when nobody's
right.
there saying it to you, like, here's how it should or could go.
Yeah.
When I say it, everyone's like, oh yeah, of course. But when I'm not there telling them, like, this is how you do
Right.
it, they're like, how do we do it?
They fall back into their old ways again.
I mean,
right.
being like, in queer communities, in some ways, it's harder because it's like buying an IKEA table with no instructions. Like, you don't even have the pictures of where
Right.
the pegs go into the holes. Like, how do we do the thing? Like,
Yeah.
where this is just a block of wood. Now I'm a carpenter. What the fuck do I do with this?
Right.
Like, as opposed to, I think in most heteronormative situations, the problem is that people have these ideas of what's supposed to go down,
Right.
and that's not always compatible with reality. But at
Right.
least they have a frame of an idea of what to do,
Right.
and then it's just a matter of, like, learning and unlearning the parts of that you want to keep and get rid of.
This is what I've been thinking about a lot, and working on this idea that comedically, but just in the world, men sort of have become like statisticians about what works for them. And it's like, on the surface it sounds bad because it's like categorizing like what type of women you're able to get and whatever. But at the end of the day, what it really is a byproduct of is men are failing at such a high rate. Like, men are hitting on everybody and failing all the time.
I mean, isn't that the human race, though?
Sure, but men are failing at hitting on women because they're just hitting on everybody, and so then they start to make like sheets of like, okay, cool. If I hit on a girl with purple hair on a Thursday while it's raining,
I think it just becomes a numbers game in general. Like,
Sure.
if I build up this one person that I have this hallway crush on
Yeah.
in school or at my job or whatever, and I finally work, oh, well, wow, we spoke today. Today I asked my crush what time it was, and she said it was 2:00. And, like, oh my God. When we build somebody up that much,
Yeah.
and then you finally ask them out, or in some way you're bound to be rejected most of the time because that's now such a huge percentage of effort that you've put into one person and one rejection. I think if you casually do that thing that I was talking about and you don't expect anything, you're not like, oh, I gave my number to someone. I'm waiting for a phone call. I'm waiting for a phone call. Like, you give it out to 10 people, and like 1 person out of 10 might call you back. I don't give my phone number to 10 people because I want 10 dates. It's too many dates.
Right.
I do fetish work, but I'm not wealthy. I can't afford too many dates.
Right. Interesting. So, but I think more than that, right now, I mean, your example is a person walking up to a person, which is like the sixth way people meet now. Like, it's like people are meeting online and just trying to come up with like an opening line.
Same thing though. Not a line. Just the same thing. Like, hey, I'm interested. All right. The one difference is, hey, I'm interested in this thing you said on your profile. I'd love to get together for coffee or drinks and like talk more about that. If you're interested, like, here's my number, and switch straight to phone numbers instead of on the messenger. Because
everybody's swiping on everybody all the time, you just. Because you're going to send when you take the time to like personalize the line, you don't get the response, and then you do. So I accidentally got booted from Bumble because I had my shows on there, and then when we were getting upset, they were like, "What are you just on here to promote your shows?" And I was like, "Well, actually, like the fourth thing somebody asks me is where they can see me, so I just put it on there in case." And then half the girls on these dating apps are putting their Instagrams on. They're trying to raise their followers. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna be that." So I put my thing on there, put my shows on there, got bumped from Bumble. So then I came back on and I started rematching with people.
Okay.
Now. Like a weird glitch of the app was, even though I was booted, now that I'm relinked to the same phone number, when they start the new conversation, the old conversation from a year ago is still in there.
Oh.
So what was really cool was I started realizing that women are sending the first same line. It was literally like, blah, 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 emoji, blah, 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 same emoji. It was out of control.
Wow.
And I thought it was just a thing that dudes were doing, but the fact that like people, they just pick up a thing, it's always going to be the same.
I read about a study where they had they paired people up and they did single blind versus double blind, right?
Yep.
So you've got person A and person B. So person A is sitting there with no idea what's going on, and person B, you tell person B to flirt with person A, right? And then person A's got to figure out whether they're being flirted with or whether they're being, like, someone's just being friendly to them.
Yeah.
So, like, they did it both ways where they've got person B and they're like, okay, just be friendly to person A. Okay, and they be friendly. And then person A's got no fucking clue whether they were flirting or not.
Right.
And then they're like, okay, flirt with person A. Person A still has no clue. Then they thought maybe this is because people are bad actors and you have to only match them based on their actual interest in each other if they find each other attractive.
Somebody they don't want to fuck.
So then they paired people up only whether or not they were attracted versus not attracted, like in sync with whether they were flirting or not flirting. Still no one knew. And then they had a double blind where they had people watching and trying to tell in the interactions whether flirtation was actually happening or not. The outside viewer also couldn't tell.
This is crazy.
None of us know what we're doing.
No.
We're all
That's
doomed.
what I say. That's what I say a lot. Is I see people like texting their friends. They went on a date. It went weird. Somebody's doing something. They're texting their single friends like, "What do I do? What's your advice?" And the advice is out of bounds because everybody's throwing Hail Marys with their friends' relationships. They're like, "Yeah, fuck him. He doesn't care about you." Whatever. But it's like, and then when they're in it, they're very conservative because like, no, like I don't want. Maybe he didn't mean that.
It's partially because we all rant to our friends about all the shitty stuff
Right.
that our partners do, but we don't talk about all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So if it's just like, and another thing he did today, and then your friends, they only know all the shitty things.
Yeah, they got the
that
colored side of it, right? They got the negative side. But then but it also it's this thing. It's like you're gonna give the most drastic advice because you have the person's best interest at heart, but also it's not your life, so you can take risks that you wouldn't otherwise take. Plus, also the bigger point is like what you said is we don't know what we're doing, so you're asking a person who hasn't figured it out to give you advice that also is not going to be good. Like they don't know, you don't know. It's just two people lost in the woods now, just flailing in whatever direction.
Blind leading the blind.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't speak in idioms. I can't because I don't remember any of them.
I don't know.
Because I'm
feel
an
like
idiom. I'm an idiot. So yeah, the blind leading the blind. So that's cool. I never actually got like a clear answer how you differentiate
Oh,
yourself.
how I
in
differentiate
this
myself.
thing, yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't just do one thing.
Yeah.
I do a little bit of everything, and they
Yeah.
all sort of feed into each other in this big human centipede loop
Right.
of random kinky bullshit.
Yeah.
So, like, I've done. I teach, so I'm used to speaking in front of a big crowd, and I'm used to answering questions on the spot. I'm used to performing, so I can deal with an audience. I know how to face the stage the right way.
Yeah.
So that all feeds itself into fetish, where I'm improving and I'm saying lines, and we're playing off of each other, and I know where to look for the camera.
Right.
And then that all plays into being behind the scenes, and I know where to aim the camera to get the right angles that I want it to look like.
Hang on, I think we lost this one.
Okay. You want me to keep talking? All right, we lost the sound, but I'm gonna keep talking. So anyway, yeah, they all feed into each other. So like I did the stand-up comedy thing once, and I know I said it was a very forgiving audience. I knew my audience really well. I had a lot working in my favor. It was my only time I've done it. But the fact that I am a performer, that I pay attention to all those behind-the-scenes things. So I wrote jokes in advance. I wrote transitions. I wrote punchlines. I wrote build-up. And I, like, wrote all that stuff. And then I memorized it because I'm like, I don't want to be looking at a paper the whole time. So all those things kind of feed into each other when you're a performer. You learn how to do all those things. Like, a lot of people come into and they do fetish production, and maybe they did one thing, but not very many things. So they've never spoken in front of a camera before.
Right.
So maybe they know how to be a fetish model, and they know how to stand and how to pose and how to, like, look a certain way. But then you're like, okay, our scenario is this, go. And
Right.
they have no idea what to say.
Yeah. So do you think there's one place where all of your skills combine to make you this? Because you said you're master of none. Do you think there's one place where you can cram everything and you become the master of that thing because of all these skills? You have so many skills.
I don't know, maybe
so
right
many
now.
more skills than most
Maybe
people.
right now, I can just, like, talk in circles, and I can talk forever. And you're easy to talk to. I can keep
Podcast
talking.
guest.
I could podcast with you for the next hour or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a charming motherfucker. So
You what?
I'm a charming motherfucker.
Charming
I
motherfucker.
managed to, I
Yes,
will
you-
always have a story. I always have some.
I like that. I like
Random.
that. You've seen Pulp Fiction. He says, which one is the one that says bad motherfucker? You should get charming motherfucker on the bottom of your purse. Which purse is it? It's the one that says charming motherfucker. That's the one. That's good.
I need that.
Okay, well, so I mean, where are you in the spectrum of the business in your head? So as a comedian, I'm always looking at, like, and you're trying not to look at other people's papers, right? But you're kind of like, okay, what could I be doing? What should I be doing? Where should I be going? Do you go into this thing with a trajectory? Is there something that you want to be doing you're not doing?
I feel it's all a little piece at a time. It's like with burlesque, I'll think, okay, well, what's the next act I want to put together? Well, how do I want to improve this act I already have, or this act I already have? Okay, well, Halloween's coming up. People are booking Halloween gigs.
Yeah.
Like, what Halloween acts, performances do I already have? How do I want to improve them? Where do I want to get booked? Do I want to work at better venues than I worked at before?
Sure.
Do I want to be paid better than I was before?
Sure.
Who do I want to send video to get that better gig?
Do you have a burlesque reel? Is that a thing?
I do not. I have video. I have not edited it together
Yeah.
into a reel. I do have a reel with my duet partner. We're the Blue Nets. We
Blue
perform
Nets.
together a lot. We do have a reel combined, but I
Why
don't
is it
have my own
brunette?
yet. We both have blue hair. We're Blue Nets.
Brunette. Oh, brunette. I see.
Yeah, you get the twin thing, but without the incest thing.
Right.
We're like the same height and like
Right.
almost the same build. We're like within an inch of each other all the
That's
way from
funny.
head to toe.
I saw that with a couple aerial. I went to this amazing performance last Friday, and
Right.
and it was aerial performances. I as soon as I said it, I knew I didn't have enough information to remember where it's at. It's called no, it's called House of
House of
the
Yes.
company is House of Yes, but they're running it out of a hotel now, the upstairs of a hotel, brand new. They had a place in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
Is their normal place? You know
I
them.
mean, yeah, House of Yes. I know.
Yeah, they're great. But there's two girls that were aerial. And then I realized during the performance it's two different people, but I realized that other people didn't realize it's two different people. Because the way that show was set up was there'd be like a little thing where everybody's on stage, and then there would be like a little moment where you get your own moment. And I realized that the rest of the crowd didn't realize they just thought it was one person.
Oh.
Until the end. And then they
Oh,
came out together. And I was
alright.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had that same vibe. It was like, it was twin without the twin.
Yeah, sometimes me and my blue net work wife, Lady of Vengeance, we get that where like people will confuse us for each other.
Yeah.
Or I feel like if you know us or you've seen our faces enough, some people can tell us apart by our butts.
Yeah,
But like
interesting.
some people, when they first encounter us, or don't know us super well, or they catch a glimpse of the hair or like
Yeah,
the side
that's
profile,
just-
they don't quite get it. Yeah.
No, but that's just like par for the course when you are a 2-person team.
Though
Right? Like,
sometimes
there's
though
some people that don't
'cause
know
we-
which one's Hall and which one's Oates. It's
But
just
yeah. Sometimes we do like we do weird fetish performances together, and we do fluid bond on stage sometimes. So we've negotiated fluid bonding. So like we have sexual contact
Yeah.
on stage with each other that we've
fluid
negotiated.
bonding. Fucking all the
Yeah.
all the language on this shit is crazy.
Yeah. So where we will have sexual contact on stage that
Yeah.
we've negotiated. We've discussed STI results, all that stuff. So we will fuck on stage essentially.
Right.
And so sometimes it becomes like this like. There are a few acts where it's like piles of flesh just happening, and there's
Yeah.
arms and legs, and I'll watch the video of it, and I'm like, that's my leg. No, it's not. Oh, which one is? I don't know
Right.
which one I am.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. So even if you can't tell, why should the audience tell?
Yeah.
By the way, Oates is the one with the brown hair. Okay, so what else? That's crazy. So wait, so who are you currently working with Burlesque?
I'm not part of an official troupe
No?
or anything.
Where can we see you live in the next month or two?
And of course, my brain. I just got back from Gen Con because I do
that's great.
cosplay and nerdy burlesque. So I was
Indianapolis.
I was just at Gen Con with a D20 burlesque.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I perform at Gemini Scorpio Loft in Brooklyn
Okay.
a lot. I also have a residency there
Very
where
cool.
I teach my classes there also. So
No shit.
you can catch me doing burlesque there. You can catch me teaching there pretty often.
So weird question, hopping around, but you've given me a lot of information. When you teach fisting, are you do you have to fist somebody in this?
I do.
Okay.
I teach that with my partner Chiffon. They are the person that I present classes with the
Yeah.
most often, and they have a magically, impressively accommodating cunt. So
The language on
I
this
can
lady is
I can fit
incredible.
both of my hands in them rather
No
easily.
shit.
So like we teach like
Rather
we
easily.
teach a fisting 101 class, but we
Yeah.
also teach an advanced fisting for the reckless class.
Fisting for the reckless. It's so funny. The joke I had with the first girl that I maniacally fell in love with. We had this bit about like going elbow deep. Like that was our big idea.
I mean
Yeah.
that you can do that with an anal fisting. Yeah.
Sure. No shit. It's just
Yeah, the asshole's an
hashtag-
impressive specimen.
Hashtag elbow deep. It also just depends on how big your wrist is, or I guess how long your arm is.
I mean, like if you're doing front hole fisting, as I call it, front hole versus
fisting.
back hole,
Yeah.
then like you're gonna hit a cervix at
Sure,
some point. So
right.
like there's only so far you can go. But
Right.
like I sometimes measure by my tattoos on
Yeah.
my wrists how far
Oh, that's funny. Is
I
this
got.
now? What is this?
The fifth element.
It is the fifth element. I didn't want to like.
Multipass.
That's great. Yeah, I was gonna say if you get to water, then you know where you're at. That's funny. Wait, so which one's which?
This.
Yeah, I don't know which one.
I
Is,
know they're the four elements.
oh, you don't know which
I
one's.
forget, honestly.
Okay.
It's been on my wrist for
So
years.
where's the
and
fifth?
yet I am.
I see. Very cool. Have
Big
you gone?
bada boom.
What's that?
Big bada boom.
Mila Jo. It's that movie. I don't know. Such a good movie, and that movie sort of like clarifies how horrible Hollywood is because then they made Mila Jovovich an action star for like 5 years, and it's
Yeah.
like
I mean, have you heard of the Born Sexy Yesterday trope?
porn, sexy.
Born.
Oh, born
Sexy
yesterday. No.
It's a trope that someone on YouTube called Pop Culture Detective kind of defined and coined, and he summarizes it really well as an entire trope in television and film and science fiction especially,
Yeah.
where basically the summary idea is, and the Fifth Element's a perfect example of it, where you have a fully adult sexualized woman
Yeah.
who's usually good at some sort of combat,
Right.
but has the mind of a child. Like she was
Interesting.
born yesterday.
Yeah.
And so the first guy she meets is immediately the most important guy
Right.
because he's the most average guy and he knows basic things about the world. So maybe she's a mermaid girl.
Really?
Maybe she's the girl from Tron or Wonder Woman. Oh, she comes to like
Born
man's
yesterday.
world as
Yeah.
opposed to like Paradise
Interesting.
Island, and suddenly the first guy she finds is teaching her about like how to get somewhere. Oh, this is a car, this is a whatever,
Right.
and she's like, oh, and usually they end up taking off their clothes at some point because
Right.
they don't know it's wrong to. Like, Lilu does end up just stripping in
Yeah.
front of Bruce Willis, like she doesn't know
But
it's wrong. And
I don't know why I'm so offended for Bruce Willis in this thing, because the character was like this. He's this like
Taxi driver.
yeah, but he's this dormant. He's like the greatest warrior, but he didn't like his life, right? So it's like.
But like
it's,
he's also just the first cab driver. She literally just falls into his cab.
That's true.
Like,
Those things are true. But then also, as a man, the masculinity they try to build is like no man can be this guy, Corbin. He's the guy who can save the universe.
no, he can only save the universe by helping her and loving her.
Right, sure.
That's what makes him so important.
Sure.
It's not just that he's like useful in a fight, but that he loves her and
Yeah.
he blah 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 and protects her.
Right, I get that.
And whatever.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That could have been any guy. She
Yeah.
could have fallen into a different cab, and the cab driver would have been like good at hacking and then useful in some other way.
Right.
Any guy could be Corbin Dallas.
So what's another? So wait, what's another good example of this?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Like
Why,
the-
who's the guy she falls in love with in Wonder Woman?
I honestly forget his name off the top of my head because he's so meaningless.
Yeah.
But like, I think he's a pilot or something, and so he does have skills, and yet he's also he could be replaced for anybody. She's
Right.
the one with all the powers and all the ability to do combat, and yet she knows nothing about how the world
Yeah.
works. Or like
Interesting.
there's movies about mermaid girls, jungle girls.
Yeah, Little
all
Mermaid is the one
kinds-
that.
Yeah.
Because even as a kid I wanted to fuck Ariel, so I was like, who is this dude? Who does this? Why is this guy?
So
get
how
to
did
me?
you want to fuck Ariel?
How?
How did you?
No, I don't know.
imagine
I was a
doing it?
child. I
Like
didn't know what
after
fucking
she
was.
loses her voice, you
No,
said
no.
you wanted to fuck Ariel.
I know. All I knew in my
You
body.
said you wanted to fuck her. So
even
how?
even as like a weird sexual child who started masturbating too early, I knew I wanted to fuck Ariel. I didn't know how or where. I didn't know where to put it. All right, I didn't know how to put it on a human woman, let alone
fair.
a mermaid woman. But for sure, I knew I wanted to. I don't know why. I had a kindergarten. What do they call it? A student teacher. And I was in love with her, and I knew in my head I wanted to fuck her, but I was 4.
I feel like the words "I wanted to fuck her" is where you're going wrong with the statement. Then
yes, but that's the only impulse I had. I didn't want to marry. I didn't want to love her. In my that's what I. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how to explain it.
I feel like the words are maybe that you were sexually attracted to her,
I guess.
as opposed to "I wanted to fuck." You can't want to
I
fuck
didn't-
someone when you don't know what fucking is or how to do it.
I don't know, but that was that. But I'm saying this was my inner.
It's like, oh, I've never seen a sandwich before, but
I wanna fuck it.
But I want to eat a sandwich. No, maybe you're just
No, I
hungry.
want to fuck it. No, I think you don't understand the internal struggle.
going in a
the
very
internal
American
sexual
Pie
struggle of being
direction.
Frigolette. I want to fuck it. That's how I feel about all the things.
That's your tagline.
I'm gonna get a shirt. I want to fuck it.
I want to fuck it. Charming motherfucker. I want to
yeah.
fuck it.
No, so you're not wrong about all the things, and I was not. But that was the impulse, and I remember it vividly. It wasn't anything else. It was I don't know why. It was weird.
Also, what's he that in the Little Mermaid? He's a prince. Okay.
Is he a
But
prince?
like, yeah, I think so. He's a fucking prince, but we don't know anything about him besides he walks by and she's like, "Wow, he's attractive. Let me
Yeah.
get that dick though. Let me give up
Yeah.
my voice and just so I can have legs so that I have something for him to use." But whoa, what are these things? It's a fork. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. I'm gonna sing a whole song about it. She doesn't know shit about how
Yeah.
that world works. So he's the first dude who walked by.
Sure.
And suddenly he's amazing, and she's gonna give up her whole life for
Yeah.
him. Born sexy yesterday.
Born sexy yesterday.
Uh huh.
Yeah, I dig that. Whose theory is this? Who's
Pop culture detective.
that's his name? That's his.
Is the
Alias?
YouTubeist
Oh, okay.
name? Like
YouTubeist.
Yeah, I don't know how.
That's good. I've never heard anybody.
I don't
YouTubeist.
know what word I'm saying.
I'm a
making it up.
YouTubeist. That's what I do.
Is this going on YouTube? Where
This
is
will
it?
go on YouTube and
Okay.
will immediately be flagged for some reason. I'm running. I'm running in all sorts of trouble. Stop flagging my fucking videos. I don't know if it's language. I don't know what it is, but I'm getting I'll get flagged for metadata. No matter what, these get flagged, and so
We know all about that in this industry.
Yeah, it
Instagram and Facebook and
because
all of them.
3 people own all the social media platforms. It's getting very, very hard to put out anything that pushes the discussion any further. With shadow banning, a lot of things that are happening in all of the places. A buddy of mine whose videos are going absolutely viral and crushing on Instagram. Because he's not like associated or sponsored or check marked, they started shadow banning him, and he's not doing his material is not particularly sexually explicit. He's not doing anything that anybody would like flag on a radar. And as of like yesterday, because his videos like within a week will get 1 million hits on his Instagram, started getting shadow banned. So we're in this weird pocket of like it's becoming very clear. And somebody that I know trended within one day, and then like all their followers get up. So it's like they're literally like Instagram, whoever, if they want you to be the person, they just shove you in the algorithm, and then you can go from 0 followers to 200,000 followers in a day.
The American dream is a lie.
What? Are you kidding me? So it's a frustrating time to be a content creator. But that being said, especially since I'm sitting with you, we should keep pushing the envelope on all the things. And there's lots of things that need to be discussed, especially now. And we need to get on top of those. How do I want to phrase this question? How paramount is consent in all of the discussions that you're having in the classes that you're teaching?
1,000%.
That's the thing.
Completely.
It's like make
not,
sure you keep going back to consent.
Consent isn't just sexy; it's mandatory.
Right. So what are the ways to access consent that don't make us feel corny?
I like to sit down and negotiate with everyone, and I partially don't care if that seems corny.
Yeah.
I think people think that it sounds corny before they do it.
Sure.
And then when they actually sit down and talk about it, they find that it's really helpful.
Right.
Because I would much rather talk about things and ask all the questions, and then when I'm actually doing the sexy times, I don't have that voice in the back of my head being like, oh wait, but did she say this?
Can
oh wait,
I slap
is this
her?
okay? Is this okay? Yeah. We talk about that first. And if it occurs to me, oh, I want to like pull her hair or whatever now, but I don't remember, I didn't ask if I could do that, I'll just keep it tucked away. I'll ask that for next time.
Right. Yeah. That used to be one of my favorite in my early sexual career. That would be my favorite, like post wrap up text message. Like we did the thing. We've had sex a couple times, and it's like, hey, do you like it when? Would you like it if? Do you like it when?
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
And you just send that one out.
Or, dirty talk can work too. Like, I think begging is a great way to get enthusiastic consent. Like, what do you want me to do to you? Or where do you want it?
Yeah.
Like, do you want me to fuck you harder?
Yeah.
And then like do whatever it is softer, do it slower, like, the tease and denial thing, and like make them ask for what they want. And then there's a little like shy, like, oh, I want you to,
you're turning me on. The thing, I think the hardest part when you're consent minded that I've dealt with is like you're in it. It's like first couple sessions, you don't know where you're supposed to finish. As a man, it's like and now it's like you're the last like 5 minutes where you're like ready to come. You're just like, where am I supposed to put? And it's like, how do I ask? How do I do this thing? Where do I ask? Where am I going to go? Where do you want me to go?
I feel like the standard is like nice guys finish last, sort of a thing.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, so you're finishing last, but now I'm worried about like how do I ask? Where do you want me to go first time?
I think it's okay if nice guys don't always finish last, as long as you're prepared to continue in other ways.
Sure.
If they're not.
Yeah, no, we're talking about different things.
Yeah. Like, okay, I came and like maybe you're a one and done person, but then are you prepared to like get out a vibrator and like use the vibrator on them while you like whisper sexy things to them?
No, I'm literally talking about the concern as a man of like, where do I shoot?
Oh, like physically, where? Where's the target?
Yes, where am I allowed to shoot that's gonna make you uncomfortable that you're gonna like? That's the weirdest left alone moment that like even when you do sit down and whatever, because it's like everything's in the moment. So it's like where you come as a man, where you shoot to be blunt, is obviously very different each session. I think.
That one I can't help you with that one.
I can't help you at all.
If I'm ejaculating on anyone, we definitely talked about it because I need a device.
Right.
It's very planned.
Fair enough. All right. Well, okay. So how do we follow you on the web? What's the best way to reach you? What's the best way to pay for your content? All these things. How do we find your classes?
So I'm Vonka, Vonka, Vonka like vodka, like Willy Wonka, Willy Wonka, or sometimes I say Vonka like vodka with an N instead of a D, or Vonka sauce. I make my own.
Vonka sauce.
So generally, if you type in Vonka, I will come up. But with the shadow banning and whatnot, the full handle is Vonka Romanov.
Vonka Romanov on
Vonka Romanov.
On which platforms?
On Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, most of them.
Nice.
I don't have a Patreon or an OnlyFans or anything like that quite yet.
Is that something we can look forward to?
Yeah, probably. Cool. I'm looking to start getting into building my own site and stuff.
Nice.
I've been working with Callie for ages, and she's taught me so much back end stuff.
Yeah.
She's starting to go like, when are you gonna build your own stuff?
Get your
and
shit
like,
together.
Yeah,
Right,
I gotta get my shit together.
That's
But
cool.
on Instagram generally, I'll post like. There's in the highlights. There's like a next and like schedule.
Yeah.
So like you can look in the highlights and it always says when my next show is, where my next classes are.
Awesome. Very cool. And then we are Porn Stars Buell Podcast. We're sponsored by Spunk Luby, rebroadcast by the Demon Seed Radio Network. We drop every Monday. We have some YouTube content from today that's probably going to get flagged, so check us out. Also, we're starting to upload onto Pornhub and some other places. Thank you guys for listening. If you're on iTunes or Google Play and you switch platforms, we're on the other one. We're everywhere. Please keep listening. Thank you so much to my guest Vonka for being here. Delightful to talk to. I wish we could do 3 hours because I have so many more questions. Reach out to her if you have any questions about anything we talked about. Check out her classes if you're in the New York and New Jersey area. And again, thanks again, guys, for listening.
Thank you so much.